Well, hi, good morning, and thank you for joining me in my shop here. Today is September 24th, and the bad weather is here. It's just dark, gray, rainy now, but I can't be too upset because we had something like 10 days of sunshine just before this. So, okay, what about this radio? Having a lot of mixed thoughts about this. So I replaced two capacitors yesterday. Both of them tested pretty good for old capacitors, frankly. And I'm really hesitant now to do any more, just sort of take a shot at it, capacitor changeouts. I'm not sure there's any value in it at all. The main thing is the radio seems to operate really well. So what is there in here that should be fixed if the radio is operating really well? I don't think too much. So I really don't know what to do next with this thing other than put it all back together and send it on its way. Could do a more careful test, just playing the radio and really assessing it more carefully. I don't know. In the meantime, I have found an English schematic. Thank you to the person who made a comment that there is one out there to be found. So I've got that, but it's exactly the same. I think it's exactly the same as the version I was looking at. It just uses English words on it. One strange thing is that's kind of bothering me a bit is I measured the cathode resistors on the two output tubes at 90 ohms, but according to the schematic they're 160. Why don't we look at this English schematic and just see if by some chance they're not 160 ohms on that schematic. And here it is. And here's the output tubes. And oh my gosh, this is done. Did I not notice this before? Look at that, 90 ohms. Huh. And on the other schematic, this is not a shared. This is a shared situation here. Okay. Well, the good news there is that I discovered this on my own, even with the wrong schematic. Okay, 90 ohms. Well, it measured 90 ohms right on the money. Perfect. I wonder what else is different. I looked this over and compared it to the other schematic, but of course I didn't go point to point. I just looked at some interesting things, like here with the takeoff heading over to the speaker jack. Oh, this isn't the same. Is it 3 and 5? View from pin side. Well, what are they showing here? They're showing two separate ones. This is why? What are they showing here? One, two, three, blank. Look at the position of this dot versus this dot. This would be the kind of thing you would do to make sure the plug you have will only go in the correct socket. You put a blank hole here and a pin. It's got to fit. There are two jacks on the back of the chassis. There are two. Like, it looks like this. Let's just look at that other schematic. Here's the other schematic. They're combined into one. This is why I've been going nuts trying to sort this out. I spent a couple hours trying to sort this out. Very nervous about the fact that it's carrying 120 volts. Not even through the fuse, which is kind of odd to me. It turns out it's not in this jack, it's in the other jack. Okay. Wow. Sorry me. So I've made this mistake so many times now where I go hunting for a schematic and the first one I find I settle on and I stop the hunt. And then as it turns out there's a better version of a schematic or a more accurate one or something out there that I'm not even looking for it. I paid the price. I paid the price for that this time around for sure. Well, okay, given what we have now. I feel chastised or something. Is that the right word? So this is all the same here. And this is the capacitor that I changed out. Okay. Okay. I'm going to stop here right now and drink a little coffee and just... What we want to go after would be a component in the discriminator. Where's that? maybe it's way over here somewhere. It's right in here somewhere. We can even spot it in here. Yeah, I'm gonna look this over and think some more about things. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so here's the English version of the schematic, and we're looking at the two output tubes and some interesting questions here. Obviously it's stereo at this point. Is the FM receiver stereo or mono? I think it's mono, and we can figure that out by looking at the schematic. And an interesting question here, because I've been looking at this for a little bit. If we just work our way back and follow the signal back, we get to the volume control. One here and one here. This is no doubt gang together on the same shaft. So when you turn the volume control, you're turning these two adjustments simultaneously. What's interesting here is look at all these taps coming off the volume control. It's common to have one tap on the volume control right on the resistive element, I believe. And the purpose of that is one way or another to enable a loudness effect. A loudness effect is compensates for the fact that at low volumes our ears don't hear very high and very low notes. We sort of focus our hearing on the voice range at a low volume. At a higher volume, the human ear will hear the bass and the treble in what we would think of as a normal way. So what happens is when you turn a radio way down low, when you're playing it low, the bass appears to disappear. Now this is just, we experience this all the time, so we don't think much of it, but that's what's happening. So to compensate, and I'm not saying that's what this is what I think this is. The engineers come up with all kinds of filters and other things to try to compensate for this, and that's what I think all these are. The three resistors supposedly tapped differently. I guess they would have to be tapped differently, maybe not, maybe all in the same tap, and you have different time constants here based on this, and the effect is different at different frequency ranges, and some engineer has worked all this out, and this is his baby here, his proud baby. Now, so that's what I think is going on here with all this stuff, just a loudness effect. Now, there's another interesting thing. If you follow the gang line, the dotted line here, going down to the other one, halfway through it, it encounters this, and it says 2 megohm, or maybe that's 2,000 ohm. I'm not sure. Volume. Isn't this the volume? Volume. Isn't this the volume? Volume. What is this doing? You got me. I'm not sure. For a while I thought this must be the balance control here, and they've mislabeled it, but that's a stretch. So, and it shows it ganged in. So when you turn the volume control, you're turning this thing too. you got me as to what's going on. The engineer lost his mind here when he came up with this scheme. So, but there's a reason why these European radios sound great all the time. They almost always sound fantastic. And I think it has a lot to do with a number of parts they stick in here, and that enables the engineers to compensate and allow for the highest quality of sound. Whereas North American radios are a little on, I hate to say the word cheaper, certainly simpler side. Very, very much simpler. It could be some kind of engineering attitude between Europe and North America. I don't know. I don't know for sure. So we don't really know what that is. It doesn't really matter. These are just curious things. Look, here's the bass and the treble, and they wrote it right on there. Bass and treble. Volume. That's a weird one. So we have two stereo channels going all the way back to about here. And then they show these inputs. These are the record player inputs, I'm pretty sure. Maybe the tape input is shown here too. I'm not sure what exactly they're showing, but I imagine this is the record player or other inputs that can be brought in and operated in a stereo fashion. So now let's take a look at the radio output. First of all, just take a note of these two lines here. One of them is looks like a B plus line. The other one, well, seems to be heading in towards this audio stuff in here. Not sure. Let's go up here. We'll take a look at the radio output. So something that catches my eye right away are these two diodes in this boxed in area. And this is an FM detector circuit, FM demodulator, whatever you want to call it. In here is the electrolytic, there it is there, the electrolytic capacitor I was talking about. It's a 10. Wow, I'm so hesitant to do anything to this radio, but commonly in a beat up older FM radio, this guy gets changed along with other stuff, but this guy in particular. There's some tricky alignment issues with an FM radio. Do I see anything here that suggests it's stereo? Well, there's got to be two outputs from here for it to be stereo. Where's the and I don't know my FM well enough to know for sure where the output is. Well, I think it's this line here. Where to go? I'll be quiet for a moment here. We'd have to figure out all these switches to really get comfortable with this. I don't want to do that. So I think it's safe to say that this is the output coming here. It's only one wire. So either it's going to a circuit that can separate the two channels, or it is just mono. I think it's just mono. I'm not sure. There's no indication on the front. There's no indicator of light, like a stereo light that's going to come on. But there is a switch called stereo, and if you push it, a light does come on, and a little word stereo comes on. And what exactly that switch is doing, we might have to actually put a stereo signal into this receiver and then see if it's stereo. But I really don't think the receiver is stereo. Yeah, you know, I can look at this for ages and never really sort it out and just end up with a headache. So let's experiment. I will supply this with a stereo signal. Maybe we'll learn some more about it if I do that. Kind of thing. Now, where's the AM side of things? The AM detector. Again, I'm not absolutely sure. but I think it's happening here. Not sure. Oh, there we are. There's a couple. This is the detector here. Must be after this. This is a dual transformer. So dual transformer, probably one for AM, one for FM. I have two different frequencies inside the radio. One's about 455 kilohertz, the other one's 10 megahertz. So you can present the same, those two signals to two sets of transformers, and the signal will only pass through the transformer designed for it, and the other signal just won't go anywhere. Does that make any sense? Make some sense to me. Well, yeah, I can stare at this all day. I don't think it's stereo, but let's see if we can prove it or not. And the other thing is the balance control on this receiver. I didn't see it when I was looking in here. You know, unless this is the balance control, I probably just missed it. I'm curious about it because it doesn't throw the sound all the way left or right. It throws it a bit left and a bit right, and it appears to be off balance. That's really the word for it. And that could be because the two output tubes, which are different, once been replaced, they could have different strengths. So we could test those too to find out what the story is there. Okay, let's fool around with the FM. Is it a stereo FM receiver or not? So you might be able to hear a faint hum. Now I've got a piece of equipment going I don't have on very often. It's this FM transmitter here in the back. Let me just go over it. This is the RF output cable. It's connected to the antenna of the radio here. So we're ready to go. The radio's not switched on yet. So this guy is capable of producing a signal at 100 megahertz, give or take a little wee bit. There's an adjustment here. You can swing it a little this way or that way, but it's pretty much right on 100 in the middle. It'll produce a mono signal, a stereo signal, so it'll produce a 19 kilohertz pilot signal that's needed to trigger the channel separation in the receiver. So it does pretty much everything, but one thing, I haven't used it for so long, I may get things wrong at first here. So let's stick it on, let's see, it's on audio mono signal right now, so the 19 kilohertz is actually switched off here, and we're putting out a signal at 1000 hertz, so if we tune it in we should hear 1000 hertz. This is the 19 kilohertz subcarrier strength. It's low, doesn't matter because it's not being used right now, and this determines the sweep width of the FM deviation, the deviation width, and we set it according to this meter about there. That's just below 75 kilohertz. I think that's the normal bandwidth of an FM signal, something like that. I think we're all set. So what we need to do now, we need to push this here. So I've already tuned the radio to around 100. Make sure the volume's turned down. It's set to FM. It's plugged in. One last look. Let's take this ground off. We don't need it. That was for a voltmeter we're not using. Okay, we're going to switch on the power here through the through the dim bulbs to start, just because I'm a chicken. Always a chicken. All is good. So we're going to give it the full Monty. I've noticed the stereo light is lit up on here. The stereo button. So these buttons don't lock in when you push them. So let's push this one here that says voice. Well, maybe this multi-sonic. So it still says stereo. I didn't think that came on. Let's switch this to broadcast. It still says stereo. That's why. That's why. Okay, so this is a push button, kind of like an on and off switch. Okay, let's go back to FM. So the stereo light is not on, the switch has not been pushed, so we would expect this to be a mono reception. Let's see if we can pick it up now, a little bit of volume. There it is right there, already. So we will tune the radio a bit and see what happens. Not sounding so good, is it? That sounds kind of like the radio's overdriven. Now, with the more modern FM receivers, they kind of latch on to the FM signal a little bit, so you don't have to tune them so exactly. They kind of pop in, if you like. These older ones don't have that effect. So, and the FM tuning is often quite critical. So just doing it by ear. Wow, it's hard to say. Usually you get a side thing, main thing, and another side thing. And that's actually a way of checking the alignment in the radio. If you don't get a little thing, the main thing, and a little thing as you tune through it, then probably it's out of alignment. This one seems to be good. And take everything I say with a grain of salt, okay? I don't offer any guarantee of accuracy or truth here while I'm doing things like this. I'm telling you what I've come to understand, you know, given the limited equipment that I have in my shop, too. So there we are. I think that's perfectly tuned. I'll turn it down a little bit. We're going to try the balance control. Now I have a stereo microphone in here. I'll show it to you. It's up here. This is the stereo microphone. And then you can see the one speaker over here, and the other one's just out of sight over there. The stereo microphone should pick this up in stereo. But I also have a mono microphone going, which you hear my voice through now. Well, I'm going to kill the mono microphone. So all you're hearing now is the stereo microphone. Maybe you can pick up, if you're wearing headphones or you're paying attention to your speakers, maybe you can hear the stereo-ness. Okay, balance control. I have zero change. Let's try a lower frequency here. This is 400 hertz. I don't hear a thing. I don't hear any movement at all. Okay, let's push the stereo button here. Things got quieter. Now we'll try. Okay, there's something happening. So this is more out of this speaker now. It's more out of this speaker. And without looking at the control, and bearing in mind there's nothing here that's... I'm just trying to find the sweet spot. This is weird sounding. Like it's not clearly going left or right, but I would say there, and can you see the red dot? Pretty much in the middle. So that kind of crummy check suggests the balance control is doing its thing. It's just not 100% all the way one way or the other. So now we're going to try to flip this guy into stereo. So to do that, it needs to get a 19 kilohertz signal. So we're going to turn that on. Flip this to stereo left. Okay, everybody listening now. And stereo right. Left, right. So I don't hear any difference whatsoever. Now how do we know? How do we know for sure? Let's put it up on 1000 hertz again. And try that again. So we'll go left or one way and the other. I don't hear the slightest change. Now, is it possible the radio isn't tuned for stereo? I haven't tuned it well. I don't think so. Let's see. I'm doing this just with stereo left. It's absolutely convincing that there's no stereo going on in the FM receiver. This is quite common. This is quite common from this vintage here. We set this right on 100. Tune it in again. We take a look at the dial now. You can see the number 100 right there, and the pointer's just behind it. Not quite dead on 100, but really close. Close enough. What else can we do here? I don't think we can do too much now. We're going to we'll go up in frequency here. Now that's piercing my ears. So we'll do the balance thing again. It's doing something. I say I can just barely perceive it moving back and forth. Just barely. Let's turn off the stereo. Got a little louder there. Piercing my ears. Nothing at all. So you put it in stereo, and the radio then has a problem of having, oh wow, turn that down, and my ears are I've deafened myself. And what was I going to say? Because it has a stereo switch, if you switch it into stereo, it then has two channels, and there's inevitably a balance problem with it, because one's going to be a little stronger than the other. Maybe not when it's brand new, but later, you know, tubes and stuff, one's going to get a little stronger, so you're going to want to balance that back out. So I think that's why they would have the balance control. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know where I was going with that. My mouth has remained hooked up to my brain, and it's continuing to operate even though it probably shouldn't. There's just nothing here for me to do that doesn't involve a risk. Hey, how about the panel lights? Let's get down to that. Panel lights. So we got two nice lights up here, both operating, and the panel looks nice. I think there were some that were not coming on. I'm going to go through these buttons. Each one should turn on a light here. So go jazz. Turned on the jazz light. We go voice. There's no voice light. Orchestra. Orchestra lights on. Stereo light. And what if we push this multisonic? No lights come on. Maybe this is supposed to light up. Maybe not. So we got voice. Now how do we get at those lights? Oh my, not from up here. Okay, let me just be very careful while I spin this around. Yeah, clip lead could pop off anytime and find a new spot in the radio. Oh my gosh. How do you change the lights? Oh, here they are. Here and here. It looks like you can draw the light out this way. Okay, let me make sure I pick one that's not working. It was the voice light that was not working right. Whoa, don't, how do accidents happen? So I have the voice button pushed and no voice light. And that would be that light right there. So it's a voice light and that, check them again. Voice light, multisonic, voice light and multisonic light, if there is one. Is there one? Well, it's underneath here, so if there is, no, there is no multisonic light. So the only one that's actually not working is the voice light. That's not much of anything, is it? And the voice light is that guy right there. Okay, I'm going to cut the power. And I think we're not going to get any farther with my FM transmitter. The voice light is right here. Let's Let's take a closer look with a close-up camera before I think I know what I'm doing when I actually don't. That's a common state for me to be in. Okay, so this is the light. I have to take care of the focus here, I'm afraid. Just bear with me a moment here. What I'm doing is I'm going to stop the automatic focus from automaticing. There we are. Okay. I want to look at the light. Looks like it's just pushed onto a post. Something is lining the light up very, very straight. I guess it goes down into a fitting. So it's on a post and down into a fitting. I think those wires are long enough to pull it out. They should be, eh? Wouldn't they make it that way? What are you pulling on? Well, what are you going to get a grip on in there? Can't get your fingers in that little box. I think I can put a hook underneath and pull. Hook underneath and pull. Oh, sounds like famous last words. Here. I got a hook here. Hook underneath and then pull. Oh, it comes out easy. Yeah, it comes out easy. Kind of easy. Sort of easy. Oops, I got a replacement. Oh, it's a special bulb. Uh-oh. These are not your everyday bulbs here. This is a very special light bulb. I don't know if I'm going to have a replacement for this. Just pop it out. Can't you just pop it out? It's locked in. You gotta twist it. Twist that bulb. Push and twist. And out. Here we are. My gosh. I've never seen one that looks like this. Oh, up here. Well, this is a very, very special light bulb. And it's got nothing written on it, of course. Oh, there is something. Something stamped into it here. It's almost certainly a 6.3 volt light. That's stamped into it is not really legible. It's poorly stamped. Well, I can see a C, part of a 9 it looks like, a Z, an O, and an N. I have no idea. Nothing written on it, but we can look at the schematic. It's almost certainly the same voltage as the heaters of the vacuum tubes. A little surprised at the bulb though. I mean, I'm not going to have that. Where am I going with the camera? I was going to look at the schematic. We don't look at it that way. We look at it this way. Okay, light bulbs. Now, light bulbs might be down here. There may just be a statement of them. They may not appear. They're probably showing near the power supply, and they're probably in here. These. What are all these? These look like lights. These are lights. These are lights. These are the two always on panel lights, and they're just in the heater string. And then this is getting a slightly different voltage here. What are they doing? 4 times 6 volts, 0.1 amps. Those are 0.1 amps. Those are 25 milliamp bulbs. Oh my gosh, that's a tiny amount. I don't think I can replace these. We'll take a look at my lights and see what I got here. But odd that they don't just have them on here. To me, that's odd. They've done something special, but then you know what? You know why it could be? It's the same winding here, but these lights are popping on and off. Maybe if you have them on the string here, popping them on and off will cause a click in the radio speaker. I don't know. I think it would cause a click like this anyway. Just making all this up. I'm looking around at other notes here. Anything that is standing out? No. Okay. Let's look through my light bulb collection. Okay, now I've had to switch on some other shop lights, and they make a hum. So you might be hearing a hum in the speakers. You might be hearing a hum. So let's take a look at my lights. We'll see what we got. No. These little tiny lights. Don't know what voltage they require. A little mini light, similar. Lights like that. That's similar too, but like the size of the bulb. No. Don't think that's going to work. Microwave lamps, are they really? Flashlights. These are like go in your automobiles, don't they? There's a whole bunch of second time around bulbs. That looks new. None of them are any good for our purposes. Nope. These very specialized bulbs here. Look at that, Some more here. Very small ones. I don't know if these are 6 volt. I don't even know. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Huh. I've got some that match. Sort of. Well, okay. Maybe I got the bulbs. Do the rest. Huge supply of neon bulbs. In case anybody needs a neon bulb. Well, I got some. I got something. Okay, let's go back and check it out. So you might say, Jim, how is it you don't know what you've got? And it's because I acquired the remnant stock of 2 stereo stores from here in Aurelia, where I live. Both of them having closed 15 years ago because of retirements. And eventually, I guess the people themselves or their successors wanted to get rid of what was left. And they found me and said, hey, you want this stuff? And so I got stuff, including all these lights. That's why I'm not familiar with what I have, because I got it in bulk and I just kind of squirreled it all away pretty quick. Well, we seem to have, surprising to me, a potential replacement. So the size looks perfectly right. The type looks a little different. This thing's white. It's either white because they made it white. And you know what I just heard? I heard my cat crying in the garage. I forgot about the cat in the garage. I gotta go rescue my cat. Okay, let's go rescue. There we go. I had to say sorry to my poor cat. She likes to go in the garage, but only for about 10 minutes. I think she was out there for a good hour or so. Where are you going? She's got other plans. That's quite an independent cat there. She's just always got her own ideas of what she wants to do, where she wants to go. And not listening to us. Okay, now there's a volt. Let's see. There's stuff written on here. There wasn't. Yeah, it was just junk stamped on here. This has got stuff written on it. A little hard for me to see. Let's take a close look with the other camera here. What do you say? You say it looks like 18 volts. What do you say, Kat? Oh, she was just thanking me for letting her back in the house. 12 volts, some number of watts. What's that word at the bottom? I suppose you can hear my cat meowing too, right? What would the world be like if we didn't have cats? So the next question is, are all these lights the same? They probably are all the same. So I'm going to look through these and see if I can find one that somehow has a different voltage rating. Just disappointing. So close. Oops. What happened there? Not paying attention to my video making. Too busy keeping an eye on that. She's just looking for trouble. She's looking for trouble. Okay, let me check these bulbs, just in case. Well, as it turns out, they're all 12 volt bulbs, and this is a 6 volt radio, so I'm not going to go. So close. That's too bad. How disappointing is that? Do we know for sure this bulb is burned out? We don't actually. So let's just check that. I'm 90% sure it's burned out. Let's be 100. And my cat can help me here. You gonna jump? Don't jump. What my cat doesn't know is that 2 more cats are coming. So first checking the meter. Yep. Checking the light. She's a dud. No surprise. Once in a while these kinds of sets have spare bulbs hidden away in them, but I don't think this one does. So that's too bad. Acquiring a spare bulb, exactly this type. I mean, obviously this, I didn't know it, but this type is a type. You probably could. But the fact is, it's in the voice switch, something you'll never select. So I'm just putting in the dead bulb back in here. And we're just going to leave it like that. Say the owner, when they're demonstrating the set, just don't push the... these have sunk down a little bit. Don't push the voice button, or you'll have to admit to a burned out light bulb. Well, that's too bad. Okay. Now, another thing about this set is cleaning up the controls. I can't remember if they were noisy or not. And I don't think I want to start spraying WD-40 around for no good reason. And where can you spray it anyway? The switches are all pretty inaccessible, and I'd have to have some evidence that I really need to do that kind of stuff. So I think we're going to operate the set and really listen to it carefully and see what's up, and make a decision about being done with it. I think that's where I'm at. Okay, here we go. Just closing my shop door there. So So I have a good FM or AM antenna. We're on the AM broadcast band right now. So I have to rotate the volume up quite a ways. Balance control having no effect that I can notice. Again, if we push the stereo button, tone changed a lot. Now it's having some kind of effect. Looks like I got left and right mixed up. Pushing that stereo button really changed the tone here. Let's turn it off. You wouldn't normally push the stereo button when you're listening to broadcast anyway. AM. There's no stereo there to hear. Here we go. What do we get? So we're at the high end of the band. Didn't I get some stuff up here the last time? I thought I did. Could be the position of this switch here. Okay, nobody home at all. Dirty button. Oh yeah, volume up so high there. Sounds the same. Didn't notice that, but then you got to turn it up pretty high to get there. It's possible to clean that guy up a bit. Okay, come on now. Why? Where'd the static come from? Something being received. What was that? What was that? What happened there? This thing came to life briefly. I think it's working now. Now it's working. What happened there? Still not hearing anybody. So this is 860. That's roughly where it is on the dial here. That's a French CBC station. Would normally sound stronger than this in a good radio. 820 should be right in here. So I think the reception is weak. That's probably 740. All these stations, we should be able to hear them quite clearly. Can't hear any of them. Noticed this before. It's consistent bad performance on broadcast band. Just make sure I got the antenna connected and switched on. Can't even hear a change in that. Let's just go back to some signal here. I'm switching on and off the antenna. Off. Yeah, it's definitely there. Well, we can only conclude she's weak. Weak on AM. So now we're going to try some shortwave bands. We haven't tried any of those yet. Shortwave 1 runs from, looks like about 3 megahertz up to about 8 megahertz. We might pick some stuff up over here, but we're liable to only get noise in this area. At night, you'd be picking stuff up in here. You're listening to. So there is a shortwave signal broadcast out of Toronto, and it's a Toronto AM radio station, 1010 I believe. It's 1010, and they rebroadcast on shortwave, and they've been doing this for decades. And the reason was originally so the owner of the station could go to his cottage and listen to it. because you couldn't get the AM to go that far, the regular broadcast band, but shortwave would go that far. 6070. It's possible that's what we're hearing here. But, okay, not good enough to, what's with the static? Am I seeing, are these lights flickering at the same time? They might get something up here. What is it? What's doing that? Loose. I'm checking for loose tubes. There's one. Just wiggle it back into shape here. That could have been what we were hearing. I don't want to touch those two. Not sure. Could be related to the tuning capacitor that's being turned here. I don't know. Those sounds can be all kinds of stuff. Now we'll go to the higher shortwave band. We should have a lot more luck with this band. This is running from 18, starting at 8 down here where the other band ended, and just carrying on all the way up to 18. So there's quite a number of... Oh my gosh, what's going on? I think it's a bad button. Bad button. Okay, volume down. A little better. Let's see what we can get here.
People calculate their days of worship by the papal Gregorian calendar, which itself comes directly from the pagan Julian calendar. If you would like to learn more about...
No, I don't want to learn more about that. So that signal we heard was
shocked at what you learn.
almost certainly coming from the United States.
7-day week. Explosive July on worldslastchance.com. You deserve to know the truth.
You deserve it. World's Last Chance. So if you're interested in hearing about the World's Last Chance, you could listen to it on shortwave. This is a fellow called Brother Stare, and his voice is on shortwave all the time, everywhere. And I don't know if it's live or maybe he's dead and these are recordings. I don't know anymore. But you regularly hear that guy. Again, American signal. So they just mentioned Cuba, the Spanish. It's almost certainly an American government radio station called Radio Marti, which was intended or is intended to send the American truth down into Cuba. The Americans have been blasting Cuba with their version of things for decades and decades, not just on shortwave, but back in the 50s with airplanes transmitting television signals into Cuba, flying around Cuba. Three planes flying around Cuba 24/7. So if it's Radio Marti, we'll pick it up again just a short ways away. It's the same guy, same woman. Radio Marti on 2 frequencies. Sometimes I think it's entertainment for Cuban expats in Florida. That's what I imagine. But who's listening to shortwave? You and me. So that's. So this might be a facsimile signal, describing a line. It's not very strong, but facsimile is used for satellite images and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's coming from a satellite.
15 de septiembre, tras haberse dado la fuga cuando agentes del servicio secreto lo encontraron armado cerca del campo de golf de Florida en el que jugaba el candidato a presidencia.
Don't know.
Elementos contra Ruth figura una caja que dejó hace varios meses en casa de un conocido.
Probably Radio Marti in another band.
En la que señala que lo que hizo fue un intento de asesinato contra Donald Trump, pero falló en su objetivo, según los documentos revelados por la fiscalía. El manuscrito también muestra que...
I have no idea what they're saying because they don't speak Spanish at all. So this sound is teletype being received by a radio that can't receive it well. If we had a different kind of radio in here, we would hear the tones. Oh, you can kind of hear them. Teletype, still used. May even be spy signals. You can pick up the teletype signal, but you can't decode it into letters or words unless you know the secret, if you're a spy. I'm not sure what that was. That could also be facsimile, describing a line every time. Now you can hear the sound kind of changing a bit as the the image is coming on the page.
Even the skeptics know that they wouldn't have said that about Jesus, except they were angry over something else that was being claimed about him. So from the very beginning, the church believed he was born of a virgin. He was born by a direct creative act of God, and that's how God bypassed the sin problem, isn't it?
From the very, very beginning? Do they not know about the Nicene Creed? Do they not know about the meeting at Nicene? People in Christian churches repeat the Nicene Creed. I certainly did every Sunday, religiously, without having a clue what it was, where it came from, and why it exists. Look it up.
Born miraculously, living miraculously.
Yes. My cat is crying upstairs. She wants to go outside. This is ham radio. This radio is not designed to pick up ham radio. It cannot clarify the voice. So it sounds like he's going whoa, 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 whoa. It is kind of like that. On a better radio, on a proper radio, that would clarify.
Dependiendo de la especie de parásito implicada. Mientras que especies como Plasmodium vaugani y Plasmodium
Ran to the farthest possible because he never gave in. And so he knew temptation to the limits without ever giving in.
Wow. He knows an awful lot about somebody who lived 2,000 years ago. More ham radio. This is called single sideband, by the way, or SSB. And we just can't listen to it here with this radio. So we're at 14 megahertz. We're in the 20 meter band. It's a very popular ham radio band. Should be able to pick up something called FT8. This is a nice radio to tune, by the way. There it is. So this is probably a dozen or a couple dozen ham radio guys transmitting simultaneously on the same frequency. There. That's probably like 15 guys, and for 15 seconds, and then it stops. And then it goes again. Let's watch. Listen. So this is quite interesting stuff. I like doing this. I am a ham radio operator. I like doing this. There's no talk. You'll never hear anybody's voice. It's done with the computer. You're looking at the computer display. Lots of interesting stuff to look at while you're doing this. Yeah, 15 guys, maybe more. Could be 100 guys on the same frequency, transmitting simultaneously using computers to detect, extract, hear the individual signals, which are actually all on top of each other. It's amazing. Some more ham radio. You can almost understand what he's saying. Let's see if we can tune it off and hear it. Where'd he go? He stopped talking. Now the other guy's talking. You can't hear the other guy. Okay, we won't spend time there because we probably can't clarify it anyway. Sometimes you tune a little off. I think this is local interference in my house. That sound. Got to be slow on the knob. Or you go right by these guys. It's kind of a scary thing. That might be China. It's hard to say. Just because you hear a certain language doesn't mean it's that country's.
In verses 22 through 40, he says, I am the bread of heaven.
There are all these American religious broadcasters. Who are they broadcasting to? It costs money to go on the air. These transmitters use a lot of electricity, and they're expensive to build and set up. Big antennas and all that stuff. They're expensive. Somebody's paying. Who's listening? Okay, so this is WWV. We look right here. You see we're right on 15 megahertz. WWV is the American time signal. Heard it all my life. All my life I've been listening to radios. Let's just see. 15 seconds to go. Can you see that? You can't really see that, can you? There we are. Whoops. Oh, what's all that stuff? Hold still. I think it'll go in reverse. Here we go. Coming close. Right on. My second hand, you didn't see it, crossed the 12 right when the tone went. So, no surprise. I mean, this isn't a regular watch, right? This is hooked up to the internet, all that stuff. So, should always be accurate. Okay, we're in the 15 megahertz and 19 meter band. There should be signals here, including quite a strong one up around 770. Let's see. This one's fading quite a bit. Hard to listen to it. This is Radio China. I'm going to guess because it sounds Chinese to me. China uses a lot of shortwave broadcasting. They have a large country, and the best way to reach it, is through shortwave. Same thing here in Canada, except we don't broadcast shortwave anymore. Just now, with satellite communications and that, it's not as critical. But at one time, large parts of Canada would have to listen on shortwave if they wanted to hear something. Way up north, not large parts of Canada, way up north. That's probably the end of it. Till we get way up here. What do we get? Nothing. Nothing. When you tune a radio quickly like this and you pass a station, there's usually a pop in the speaker, and then you can... Well, okay. One thing we didn't do on broadcast was fiddle with this, so we're going to do that. We're going to go back to the broadcast band. Oh, now it wants to work. $860. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, 860. Right now it says ferrite antenna on. Let's turn it off. Oh. Okay. So all this time we were using the ferrite antenna. Oh, I don't even have to pick this, which is this guy right here. Now we're on my outdoor antenna. That's a lot better. Let's check this out. Broadcast band, outdoor antenna. $740.
One vehicle up onto the
680. News channel. 640. 590, I think. Maybe not. This is 590 here.
People talking about this.
So this must be 610 from St. Catharines.
Okay, now we're getting, like Josie was talking about
590
different
Sports.
levels of
Let's see if we can get Buffalo.
Every Wednesday, yes, we do have, the traditional music. We have Walter Osprecht who's going to be joining us, and we're just so grateful every year that he comes on.
So I think this is Buffalo here. It's picking up all kinds of stuff. Wow. So I think these buttons are intermittent, and sometimes they're making good contact and sometimes not. And so you can see right now the radio's working really well. Broadcast, everything's working well. FM. So for an FM antenna, all I have is this red wire you see. It's just going up. It's just going up and hanging from my microphone. Hanging thing there. That's not the best FM antenna. The one that's built into the cabinet's probably far better. But let's see what we can do here. So we're starting here. Let's go down to the very top. This is the top of the band.
Rand, now you have 10 minutes and 75 seconds to give me a call, or else you miss out on your opportunity.
Tuning very critical on this kind of FM radio.
10 minutes and 75 seconds begins right now. Here's Louis Capaldi, Someone You Loved. Barry's best mix at work.
Full quieting.
107.5 Cool FM.
Cool FM. I didn't know there was a station up there. So this radio is able to pick up all these signals on that red wire. There's really nothing wrong here. Lovely. Then, you know, I'm going to push that stereo button and see if I can hear stereo. I won't. Got quieter. Let's go back. No, I don't think so. Sound is really good. Really good. Always the case with, and this is on my crummy little speakers. This must sound fantastic on the big console speakers. Not quite quieting here. It's not quite strong enough to quiet the radio, that signal. CBC has 2 channels. One is their talkie channel, news channel, general magazine channel. Then they have another channel which plays only music, and that's what we're hearing here. No sensation of stereo at any moment. In fact, I'm going to turn off the stereo button and get a little more volume here. See, a faraway station, it continues to be noisy, just like an AM radio would be noisy. It's not, the signal's not strong enough, you know, to operate the limiter, as I was explaining the other day. There we are. Gotta be careful or I'm gonna get a copyright hit. You get away with about 5, maybe even 10 seconds of music, but any more than that, and Mr. YouTube will pick up on it. And I'm not against that system. I understand that people, you know, the whole idea of copyright and that. The original idea of copyright, people don't realize this, was actually to break ownership of ideas. So you could get an idea, let's say 200 years ago, and that idea you could get patented, I guess, or something could be done so that was your idea, and anybody used it, they get in trouble with you. I don't know the details of this. But what you could then pass that down to your children. Your children could maintain control over whatever this idea was, technology, technique, whatever it might be. And eventually people said this isn't fair at all. So they put limits on it. Okay, so you can only, you know, have this thing patented for 20 years or whatever it is. The patent system was designed to break ownership of these ideas. Quite the opposite of what we think today, which is the patents are there to protect the patent holders, but not exactly. Okay, and again, anything I say, take it with a grain of salt. Anything anybody says. Love that song. Okay, nothing more here for me to do. There's no doubt about it. As for cleaning these switches and that, I'm not even sure I can get in and spray them. They're so hidden back inside things. So I think the name of the game here is the FM one seems to be quite reliable. If you're going to play around with the shortwave stuff or maybe the broadcast band, you might have to, you know, hit the buttons a few times to get it to really connect properly. But pretty sure the owner's only interested in playing records, and I'm sure playing the FM stereo, I think, is the main focus. So I think that's it. From here it goes back in its cabinet and on its way back home, I think. So thanks a lot for watching the series. Next thing in on my bench here, I'm not even sure what it's going to be. It'll be something. Thanks a lot for watching, and see ya.